funny, I guess it's like it's done full circle for me. Like the narrative has just gone 360. I started off in a band called New Connections, and like I was like 12, 13 writing like really emo songs like every beautiful day it's ruined I am.
Hi everyone, I'm Yasmin, here with Kid Bookie for the latest in NME's In Conversation series. This is your first time being introduced to NME's audience, and there's a lot to discuss. Your new album, Cheaper Than Therapy. I want to jump in with your new single though, Like I. Can you talk me through that? What's it about? What were the inspirations behind it?
The new one?
Yeah.
It's very like bravado filled and obnoxious, but not in a negative way. It's just like antagonistic, because I enjoy like, you know, sometimes antagonizing things in the right manner, not like without no like mental conscience tools behind it, just like complete like, oh, he's going off the rails, but more like jabs at people that deserve to have jabs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
no, I feel like that's like what embodies your new album really, Cheaper Than Therapy, coming out November 26th. A lot of that album is really outspoken and, you know, it translates a lot of who you are, which is, you know, you don't really care, you say what you feel and you just speak your mind. But can you walk me through the process of recording this album, especially in lockdown?
I guess the biggest thesis behind this project, man, is like it's in the title, Cheaper Than Therapy. Kind of like a reflection of who I am, what I am, and who I want to be. And I think it's such a defining point to make a project like that where, you know, I have many new audiences, I guess millions of new ears, and a lot of times, you know, the authentic self I've wanted to be hasn't always been portrayed in the best way because I never had a platform to be able to have it shown. So I was always kind of scared, not scared, hindered. I wouldn't say scared. I've never been scared, I was hindered just due to environment. But I broke those shackles and chains of environment. Now I'm fucking here. So let's have it.
You're here, you're loud, we hear you.
Yeah.
The acoustics in here are great for that one.
I really enjoy it. I've been singing prior, so I practiced my voice.
So the new album, a lot of emotion is embodied in this album, and it's probably been a lot for you to put something out that's so just, like there's so much going on in this album. Like it goes from one extreme to the other, from anger to sadness to pain to everything. And you feel a lot of emotions in this album, but have you thought about how you want other people to feel about this?
Yeah.
What kind of effect do you want this to have on people? I
guess my biggest effect I wanted to have on people was kind of like relativity, relation, and just like, I guess I'm always trying to, you know, be just like, it's so cliche, but maybe it isn't. Maybe cliche is just like a beautiful sentiment that needs to be repeated. But it's so cliche in saying because I've, you know, like I wanted to find people that are like me. You know, I like I said before, the environment factor, coming from where you come from and kind of feeling like you have to hinder who you are to appease so many different people. And I don't do that anymore. I do that, I'm very, if anything, I try to break you down to find out who you are, because I feel like most people are just like having identity facades based on like, you know, environment, not knowing who you are, and it's not their fault. And that's just not me saying I'm galvanizing an attack. It's more like, I try to antagonize, implant thought, practice thought, and make you think thought. And, you know, I like to introduce so many people into rock music. There's a lot of people that don't listen to it, and so I've come around, not me per se, but the music, because I do so much and I put so much fucking guitars in my shit. I've got people that when I'm at Pirate Studios, like people that are just, you know, from where I come from, they don't give a fuck about rock. You know, they're just conditioned to come from the ends and shit. And they knock on the Pirate Studio doors like, yo, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, bro, stand in here and fucking watch. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want to do. Like speaking to people that I don't get to, disenfranchised, people that don't necessarily give a fuck to find out who they are. But if I can be a beacon of expressive identity and just consistent going, it makes sense to me.
It's interesting that you talk about your move into rock, because previously you've done rap and grime, and now you're moving with this album into the rock and metal world, lots of screamo and emo and lots of alternative influences. How is it different going into this album, recording stuff like that, working with guitars, drums, lots of different instruments, lots of different artists as well?
It's funny, I guess it's like it's done full circle for me. Like the narrative has just gone 360. I started off in a band called New Connections, and like I was like 12, 13 writing like really emo songs like every beautiful day it's ruined I am. And like So, and then I went to school where, you know, I skateboarding and all this shit. And I go to school and you're bringing your skateboard in and no one, you know, you're feeling weird. You've never gone to school like this before because you've just always been yourself. And now you're like embarrassed to like do that. You're embarrassed to skate, you're embarrassed to listen to fucking this and that. And you start losing yourself and shit like that. So I guess, you know, going back now, I've gone through, you know, I kind of did rap music because I felt everyone did. I didn't want to rap. I hated fucking rap music. I really did. I don't know. My dad was a rapper. So it's funny because like my dad's this white dude, just like, fuck the power. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just didn't understand it. But when I start to understand it, I realized how beautiful the intricacies of it, not like just rapping. I'm talking like, you know, beats, timing, flows, cadence, so much like passion. Like how much can you put into this? So I kind of fell into this genre, and then I just kind of, after that, I started to realize, you know, once I've gone through it and I don't want to be in it. It was very boxed in. It's very boxing. You have to be this way. You have to dress this. You have to do this. And if you don't do that, you're looked at as weird. But if anything, that's just like you opening up to who you are. And then, but it's weird when you do that. So it's a really toxic fucking place that I don't enjoy it. Not saying that it's people. I'm just saying the mentality. The mentality creates the people, and I don't like it. Once I started to really put back what I enjoyed, my literally fucking life changed, you know, because I became true to myself.
How did it feel going into rock and metal and changing that mentality? Like, what is different for you now in this genre compared to rap and grime?
I feel like my no fucks given ometer chart is just through the roof now because it's like, that just comes with liberation of who you are. It's not about the music, it's about what made me. And that music made me. That music made me, literally, like the way I think, the way I act, like the things that were planted, like melodies, like science of this fucking shit was like, it's huge. Like this song, like, it's just ridiculous. It's so big. It's like classical, but just churned out in a heavier way. It's technical as hell. So just, I've learned so much from that to be able to bring back into what I'm doing now. And it's just like, I feel free. I've never felt free. I've completely had to feel like every time I step in a room, people like trying to hack me down because I'm very brazen. I'm very straightforward. I'm an embodiment of my fucking environment. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really, I'm consciously aware of things. I listen. So if someone says something over there and I realize they don't like that, I will listen. I tailor towards my environment. It's not a chameleon because chameleon changes just to suit the environment. I don't want to change to suit the environment because that's not real. That's just genetics. I'm fuck that shit. I'm talking, you know what I'm saying? Like just being like walking into a room and feeling safe in who you are. So you don't give a fuck if that person likes you or not because you're not there to please them. You're just there to hopefully find out if you can harmonize. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not about like, hey, we have to like each other. Fuck you if that's the case. It's just, let's find out where we fit, find the tribe. I wanted to find my tribe. I have found my tribe. I speak to thousands. Whether I speak to millions, that could be in audio form. But I spoke to thousands directly that I get to speak to daily. I've got dead people's numbers daily in my phone, monthly in my phone, because I give them out and I speak to all these I attract so many sad motherfuckers that are killing themselves all the time. I always take the number because I always try to help. But I can't save everybody. But I enjoy the fact that I can try, and this is what I will feel like my purpose is. Not purpose where like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why I start fucking going on. Rest in peace to all the fucking fallen. I love you all.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you found your tribe though, because I think it's quite hard to navigate through a genre like rock and metal when you're so different, and, you know, just in general, like being an outsider in an outsiding place. Like you're in rock and metal, which is for the outsiders, but then you're also black or brown, or you're queer, or you're a woman, and then that outside is you as well. So it's nice that you found people who resonate with you on all levels.
Yeah, I have to consistently break this black narrative, because where I'm from, you know, it's hard because everyone gatekeeps how black you've got to be in what blackness is. So when I come around with my blonde hair and sometimes my nails painted black with some tight goddamn shoes and jeans, it's weird to people. And it makes it like, well, it's not weird, but it's like because we've all been conditioned over there, like we need to share each other. We have to like this, we have to act this way, we have to be this and that. And that is that. And then we got all these people that like in rap music that, especially over here, at like fucking Complex and shit. I'm gonna say your fucking names and whatnot, but because it's rude and I don't need to draw you out. But you put this narrative on it, how black you have to be, what I have to suit for this to be part of the culture. When if anything, my skin is no nothing compared, like I'm just existing from two selfish acts. People fucking and brought me into this world. They didn't answer this shit. Now I'm out here having to fucking be told I have to be this and that because of my skin. I'm not political polite for your bullshit. I'm a fucking existing member of society trying to change this goddamn planet. So fuck yourselves. You know what I'm saying?
That was very eloquently put. I like it.
Because I have to be careful. Because my words are extremely poignant.
Yeah.
And I don't want to always say the wrong thing. It's not the wrong thing. It's just sometimes it's not the right time.
We're going to jump back into your album and go into some of the songs on the album a little bit. So, as well as, you know, doing a song with Billy Martin from Good Charlotte, you
Shout out Good Charlotte, I love you guys.
Did 2 songs with 2 members of Slipknot, Sid Wilson and Corey Taylor.
My brothers for life. Shout out Slipknot, shout out
That
Stone
must have been really exciting. Were they like personal heroes for you? Or like, why did you want to work with them? And what was it like?
Everybody, if you know me growing up, you know that Slipknot has been one of my infinite muses to fucking just keep going. There's a time when I was so young, I never knew Corey Taylor's face. I just remember his voice because I used to play it on my Walkman and he just spoke to me. Vermilion was so big to me. He's still like that to me, no matter how close we are. Like, he's such an enigma to me. It's just like, I learned so much of him. He knows how much I love him. I tell him every fucking week. But it's very cathartic to be able to wake up one day and the people that made you exist in this music industry, I put you on the same pedestal as them, even if you don't even see yourself like that, you know? And what they've done for me publicly, behind this, whatever, is like, it's life-changing. It's a new lease of life. This is the reason why I push so hard for what I do, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I have so much support from top industry players, and it's not just about industry, but I don't give a shit for this facade of this network shit. It's just, I just made music and now suddenly I'm in this scape where my heroes are fucking like my friends, my brothers, my sisters, my everything. And it's you can't really put a describing factor on it because it consistently changes. It's like, but ultimately it's ridiculous.
It's surreal.
It's surreal, you know, like they are so important to me. Shout out Alicia, I love you so much. Shout out Griffin, shout out Vended. Go watch them at Knotfest every fucking where around the globe when you can. They're my family for life and I'll shout them everywhere I go until I die. Rest in peace, Joey Jordanson too.
You know, working with Slipknot is obviously really surreal for you, but I wondered, you know, what was it like going into the studio? How did you guys operate together? Like, take me through that process a little bit. Because I can't imagine walking into a studio and Corey Taylor's there and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, it's funny because when we make music, we're not in the studio. But when we're just hanging, we're just like at Slipknot shows or whatever. It's very hard because COVID, I haven't been able to do anything. But so the last time I saw them was actually at a Slipknot show in last year just before the COVID hit. So, but first song was funny because, like I said, I didn't know them. I just was online one day coming home I used to work at Temple of Satan before music kind of just put tiny bit of money, tiniest little bit of money in my pocket just to pay the rent, just to thrive. Salute Spotify. So it was funny because I came home from Temple of Satan and I had a really shit day and I was listening to Wait and Bleed by Slipknot.
Yeah.
And I remember just listening to it and I tweeted Corey just like, I want to work with you before I die. And like 5 minutes later, dude messaged back and I was just like, huh? And then it started blowing up and then it was on everything. It was on NME, it was on this one, it was on Kerrang. And it's like, holy shit. It just made me feel like, oh my God, this is actually where I wanted to be. These places that I actually wanted. And then it just changed. Like, I don't get to stay in the studio with it. Well, it's weird because like, me and Sid are working, I'll FaceTime Sid and we'll just be over whatever. Because it's hard, like, I don't get to fly out as often as I want to.
Yeah.
So, for anybody. So it's like and sometimes it's lonely because they are like, you know, they're people like I really learn from. I like to be around just based off principalities of mentality, based off learning, you know, and plus I can give a lot, I've got a lot to give too. It's not just take, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, that's exciting though. I imagine like working with them was just fun, seeing how they operate must have inspired you for the rest of the album.
It's ridiculous, their workflow's crazy. Like if I could do like that, I would fucking do it, but London isn't the same.
But that interaction on Twitter takes me to another tweet that you put out the other day about timeless tunes and making music that isn't just for the club. What is the importance of that for you? About making music that's timeless and has a message and actually has an impact?
I guess, you know, like I'm not just a boring dude where it's like I just want everyone to consistently lock in themselves in the studio and like the science and maths, like some Lyman kind of guy, do you know what I'm saying? But I guess like the party never stops. So I understand everyone's gonna make music for the party because it never stops. It's just the vibe. Ooh, I'm drinking like, well, you're not even listening, but the beat, I just vibing. You know, you're not always partying. Sometimes you need to reflect. Sometimes you need to cry. Sometimes you need to be happy. Sometimes you need to be everything. And a musician's job is to be a stimulant, whether it be a depressant, a happy vibe, everything. It's supposed to be a stimulant. It's supposed to never enter the studio without fucking believing what you're doing, without understanding why you're even doing that song. Like, why are you even in the studio? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't just be in there because your mate's in there and you feel like you have to do what they do. Like, you don't have to. You can be other things, and that's how important music is. I'm not saying everyone's got to find out who they are. And I get it. You don't just go into the studio. Like, oh, don't go to the studio because you're shit. But some people don't care. They really don't. They really don't. It's a very easy route to be able to do things. So we just go in there and do it, and now you're viral. It's not music. That's an infrastructure. That's just a moment. Like, so 2 years, make your money, fuck off. You know what I'm saying? But people that really care about it, we need them. I learn from them. This is the reason why I care so much about music, because I've learned from these people that gave a fuck about it.
Yeah.
How could I not replicate that exact sentiment? How could I not want to be part of the ever-changing shift of the status quo, the fucking society, like music defines the times? How can I not want to be part of that definition? It's very important to me.
You know, when I think about timeless music, especially in rock and metal, I think about Slipknot and Korn and
100%.
bands like that from the 90s to 2000s. But do you think that rock and metal at the moment is putting out timeless music that will have an impact? Or do you, what do you think about that?
I think, come at me or not, but sometimes I think people care about more how they perceive than how the music sounds.
They care more about the aesthetics. And
completely.
How
like, how extravagant can I be to be seen, rather than how beautiful can I make this music to be heard? And I get it. You know, the butterfly that flies around is looking for a mate. You don't hear the wings. You don't hear the wings. You look at her first. You look at him first. You look at them first. Ultimately, you see. You don't hear. So when the beauty of the flutter happens and you get close to see the beauty of the wings, that's when you hear. But until then, it's just the aesthetic. So, and I think it's very important to put them both into hand, but not just focus on how beautiful you can be to attract people that only care about, like, the music comes second. I get it. Maybe this is a very archaic way I divulge. I'm completely like, the music. Maybe it's hippified. But you know what? Call me that. Call me a fucking idiot for all I give a shit. I don't give a fuck. I care about this shit. And I want everyone who comes through this shit to care. I think rock is style, not style. There's some great new fucking artists. Shout out Blood Youth, shout out Wargasm, shout out Nova Twins, shout out every motherfucking people that care, and your aesthetic is part of the sound. That's why I respect you. But so many motherfuckers that they're just in it to in it because they like the party. That's why I said the party never stops. They're making, you know, I can't give a fuck. Go fuck yourselves. I hate that shit.
But, you know, speaking of the aesthetics of rock and how people become so consumed with that, we've spoke about this before, you know, as friends in previous interviews. Like, we've spoken about how oftentimes black and brown people aren't perceived as alternative enough because there's still this notion around rock music and alternative style.
Being white music.
Yeah, that it's a white people thing, that it's a white people style, that we aren't black or brown enough and we're erasing our identity. You know, coming out with this album and just bursting into that world, have you had anxiety about coming into this thinking that people are going to call you a poser or deny you of who you are because you are a black man in rock?
Luckily, I conditioned myself when I was like 15 years old. I come off Tim Westwood's show and I went on the internet and I saw Kid Bookie should be shot in the head. So I've read really bad comments for like 10 years. I don't even care anymore. I think like when I do come in and we do rock music and it's like, oh, listen to that, it's like, and they do that, look at me, rock on. So instantly they go to this voice. That voice is associated with being white. And that fucking annoys me, especially like, it's real weird. It's like micro shit that like you have no idea what you're doing.
Microaggressions.
Yeah, and it's like, I think the fact that it is like that, it hinders the fact that, like I said, fitting the black narrative. So when we do have like these other publications that I have to fucking, like when I first did Stuck in My Ways with Corey Taylor, certain people did not play that shit or put that shit on rap publications because I had an upside down cross. Are you fucking serious? Like, are you serious? Like, religion scares you. Like, you're scared of religion, but you're still letting the drill dog shoot, go whack the shit out and glorify it. fuck you. You find me weird for screaming, singing with different dialect, saying different things, acting a different way and appeasing a culture's narrative. I don't do that. And so when we speak about rock music now, it's like, and it's white music, it's fucking weird, bro. I grew up on fucking Jimmy. I grew up on Muddy. I grew up on fucking every goat. I'm sorry if I clap loud and scream. I just get really into this shit.
No, I like that you're so passionate about this, and I think a lot more people need to hear this and see this.
I know it's extreme, but this is the extremities of our living.
But it's the reality of your life. Like, it is the reality of black and brown people in music. And I think some people need to see that and hear that from you. So I want kind of to delve in it a little bit more and not like have you trauma dumped. But, you know, as a brown person and a black person, we kind of understand what it's like to be us in alternative music. But what are the instances you can think of where people have told you you're not black enough to be alternative?
Bro, going to fucking...
Was it going to shows? Because for me, it was going to shows and seeing Nazis and being like, oh,
yeah,
cool.
I guess it's the funny stuff is when it's like, I've said, like, bruv, I didn't expect you to be doing stuff like that. I thought you'd be rapping. Well, it's just so many things. It's like bald, sweaty dudes that just have no idea and they think they're just saying nice compliments. Like, I get it. You want to be like, like, I'm part of you. Just fucking understand what you're saying to me.
Yeah.
I've read some dark shit. Like, you got to do is go on fucking Metal Hammer or some shit when they post me and then see what these motherfuckers say. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I literally come to the sound of you typing.
Okay, I love that. I love your attitude towards the haters. It's just
literally like
you get off to it.
I literally had one of them in Camden coming up to my ear the other day and even knocked you out. Then you go, that's just a story. Yeah.
As a story for another day. Yeah. I kind of wanted to finalise on this point of, you know, so you were in this documentary with Nova Twins for BBC about Do Black Lives Still Matter, and it was reflecting on musicians in the past 24 months and the impact of Black Lives Matter on you guys and that you're being uplifted. Have you seen much change since the Black Lives Matter movement in the music industry as a black alternative artist? Again,
it brings back our narrative, a circular narrative of aesthetic, right? It's just pictures and like solidarity for the moment, for the vibe, for the movement. Like what is changed?
Empty statements online.
Yeah, what is changed? Like change is, like I said, change is starting it doesn't even start internally. It starts very deeply in here. It's not a reflective thing where you look in the mirror and suddenly go, oh my God! It's like a lot of fine tuning and understanding of the world we live in. Like we are just a bunch of smart bacteria grown up to now have complete division based off agendas. Are you serious? Break free. There's too much stuff to do before we die to fucking live fine about bullshit.
So
cunts.
You don't think, and this is an obvious question and an obvious answer I know, but in your own words, you don't think that rock and metal has done enough to physically enact changes in its system to help black and brown people?
No, it's an old infrastructure. That's why when you be like, they're still on Pantera. Pantera, some people are just still stuck on Pantera. Like we have not moved from 2000. And when new subgenres of rock come around, like trap metal or this one or rap metal or whatever, it's like, ugh, what's that?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You know, what's going on here? And then it's like they do like you did get a sly look. I remember this racist dude put up this reaction video before me, but it was very subtle. But like I watched it, I knew it was very racist because he just every time I come in, he just hates me. But Corey comes in, he's like, I get it, not super fan shit, but it was how much he hated my like rapping, how much he hated the stuff and this like that, and it was like, and then the comments started coming in like, bro, and I was like, oh my God, like people could see it. So it's nice that there is change by people, but because of the infrastructure, we do have these motherfuckers out there that are still like in that, it's like a mind state. It's like I haven't moved on from the fact that I can still say dude, I can still say that and shit like that. And like, we're not really living in 2021. We're kind of living like in some predated model where it stopped here. So yeah, I don't know what they've done to change. That's because change, like what is change? Change isn't Instagram photos and tweets. It's like that is part of a change, but where do you start with the change? It doesn't start with just consistently stating prolific statements. It's like, it's a banding thing. It's a fine tuning thing. It's deeper than just sentimental changes. You know what I'm saying? It's big.
There's a question that a lot of people posed to black artists in alternative music last year, and I had it too as well, being a brown person in alternative music, which is what needs to change. And some people said it was hiring more people of colour behind the scenes, uplifting more artists. In your words, what do you think needs to change moving forward where there could actually be like an equal playing field?
The equality is going to come from, first of all, hire anybody that gives a fuck, and make sure that when you are coming to a table, you don't perceive them based on what you think they should be. So when I'm, like I was saying, when I use myself, whether I use Yasmin, I use anybody for an example, even when Nova Twins were saying it, because I've had the same experience, go into the labels and they say you should be doing this. That's like a preconceived notion of bullshit. Like, what does it mean? What does that mean? Like, I don't get it. I do get it. But when I say I don't get it, it comes from a place of like consistently trying to understand something I will never understand because it comes from like an external source. So hire, like, yes, we can, like, I don't want you to just hire me because I should be in your fucking place. I want you to hire me because I care about this shit and I'm gonna break molds. I have to break the mold. Like, we hire people that are gonna break the mold. Hire people that give a fuck about what we're doing. Our black brothers and our black sisters, our Indian brothers, our Indian sisters, anybody of fucking color that is gonna break the mold. And don't just fucking stare up, like I said, the preconceived narrative shit. We gotta break. We ain't gotta do nothing that no one wants to. You know what I'm saying? I can go on for fucking ages.
But with Cheaper Than Therapy, do you think that's what that album is doing, helping to break the mold?
Yeah,
where more black and brown people can come into alternative music and not have these stereotypes against them?
Of course. I get it every week. I wish I could show you the amount of black people that message me about, I wish you was around for me when I was younger. And they're older than me now. You know, like, I wish he was around for me. Those statements hit really hard because it's like, I try to really be a lot like, I want to say naive. I mean it because I don't want to always be overwhelmed with the bullshit of reality. It's like, when people like that say shit to me, I'm just like, what did you go through? Because, you know, like I said, it's very easy for me to switch off because I don't care. Yeah. I've read nigger 1,000 times at me. It doesn't even scratch my core anymore. Not because I'm desensitized. It means because how much anger can I give to consistently being something that I've tackled? Like, say it to me and we'll have a completely different situation. But no, none of you ever do. No one ever does. My situation, like legit, even the way I act, like really try and give me that fucking conversation and try to put some bullshit in front of me. You will not last. And it's not about killing you with words. I will literally just kill you. So.
I like that mentality though. It's very like cutthroat and straightforward.
Yeah, this is why, like I said, I don't walk into a room expected to be liked. I don't, if anything, like, don't like me, because I'm not here to be liked. As if I was here to be liked, I'd be appeasing everyone's nature. I'm not here to appease nobody's nature. I am here to give you the cutthroat realities that we can care. I care about so much. As much as I say I do not care, I care about what is so important. But there's so much to care about. I have to compartmentalize what I care about now. What really bothers me? What is important to be bothered by? Because I have fought so many battles consistently that does no change. When we talk about the infrastructure, what has to change? What can I do to keep fighting? This is me fighting. This mentality is me fighting. I have to be this cutthroat because if I react to you emotionally, I fit something. I can't. Out of anything, I have to crush you. Like the ones that want to, you know, that's why I said I have to walk into these offices. I have to walk into these labels and see people that have the J-Hus plaque all over the fucking wall and tell me that I should be doing that to get that. Oh, fix Scar, do what Scar-Lord does. You know how many times I've heard that? Shout you out, Scar. But you know what I'm saying? I don't want to do what you do at all. I love what you do, but that's not what I do at all.
You do you, and I think that's why people love you and why this album is going to do so well and your fans are going to love it, because people love you for who you are. You're bold, you're unapologetic, and you say it as it is. And to finalise, I'd love to have you summarise Cheaper Than Therapy in 3 words.
Cheaper Than Therapy.
Other than Cheaper Than Therapy, because that is
cheaper than therapy is cheaper than therapy. Cheaper Than Therapy in 3 words. Expressive, vulnerable, and cathartic. Because, can I say more?
No, I was just saying.
Because it is that, man. It is, no! It is that, you know, like, this means a lot to me. I don't care. Like, I am not out here to be at the industry events to smile and pretend. I like who I like. I love this. I love them more than you can imagine. And believe me, like, I don't just say things because I have to say it and smile in cameras. I don't care. I don't want to be liked. And this is not because I'm a cynic. If anything, I enjoy the cynics because we understand that the world is shit and there's no point sugarcoating it. Mom and Dad, you brought me into a fucking madness. Now I'm out here thriving. Like, my seed, Jesus Christ, I feel sorry for you already. Like, I'll literally tell my woman to give birth in the grave and bury it over because there's no point. It's just fucked world. So we have to die for what we are doing. We are martyrs for this world and we have to fucking fight. And if you die, I'm sorry. It isn't a lack of empathy here because everyone's doing it. And we are no special. I'm gonna die just as much as everyone in this fucking room. It's just who goes first. So whilst before we go, fight as hard as you fucking can. Salute to the fucking infrastructure and break down the narrative. Fuck the mold and fuck the status quo.
I feel that's a great point to end on. So thank you so much for joining me, and your new album comes out November 26th. Cheaper Than Therapy.
I'm very unapologetic, but sorry if I sometimes come across harsh. That's because I'm not a psychopath and I do care about repercussion. Mwah.